Hi, everyone. We are back with more information on your 2025 planning as a firm. I am here with our growth strategist for our firms, Darren Root, and I'm Molly Boddy, Director of Product Marketing, and we are both with Rightworks. So, Darren, today, really excited about the topic that we have. It is the first 3 steps to moving into the cloud. And in our other videos, you've done such a great job of explaining why moving to the cloud is so overwhelming for our firms. So if you were to break down the challenges, what are the tactical steps that firms should start doing when they're ready to make that leap into the cloud?
Great question, Molly. I think, if we just sort of think about what it means to onboard or to get onboarded. So I've signed a contract. I've said, yeah, I want to move into the cloud. So then, what happens next? And I just think, in the firm that I had, we have lots of different tools that are all over the place. Some are cloud-based, some are, desktop-based. We have servers here, we had servers there. We have data that's a little dispersed. So I think for me, it's kind of about taking an inventory. But I guess I would flip that to you, Molly, and I ask the question: when somebody signs an agreement and says, "Yeah, we want to be in the cloud, we want to be in OneSpace," I mean, what do you see are the things that you need them to do first and foremost?
It's a great question, Darren. I agree that the inventory is the first step because you need to understand what you're actually moving. I think where a lot of cloud migration plans fail is they take into account a couple of core applications and they don't look at the firm's entire workflow. So what I've seen be most successful is making sure that experts on the tax vendors that you're using, the types of workflows that are appropriate to the size of your firm and where they're hoping to grow to, that those are all part of that initial intake process, and that somebody from your partner site is really making sure that they look closely and document that. And by the way, that's in partnership with the firm. So as a firm, a leader at your firm, you're going to want to be actively involved and ask your partner lots of questions. That's what's going to be so successful about that first step.
So you take your inventory, and that inventory is all the tools you're using, right? And then it seems like data is such a big component of this. Is that sort of separate from the tools? So you make a list of, all the tools that you're using. So you're using UltraTax and you're using QBO and you're using QuickBooks Desktop, all these things. So you're making this big list, but then you have data that some people have data that resides on their, what I used to call our F drive, which was just our internal server drive. Some of it may be out in the cloud somewhere. So are you making a list of all the tools you're using and then making a list of all the data and sort of where that data lives?
That's a great distinction because all of us have really dispersed data now because there's the applications, but then there's the things that our firm has been holding on its own for a long time. So again, where I've seen success is making sure that you talk to your cloud partner about how your file structure looks, how are individuals accessing shared data at your firm today, and making sure that a plan for how that file structure is going to work in your new world is in place before day one. You don't want to get to cutover and have that discussion about data. And the other thing is storage and cost. In your assessment of moving to cloud, you should be taking into account how large your firm is, what your data usage is like, during different times of the year and over the year as a whole, and then what your 5-year growth plan looks like, because that's going to help you and your cloud partner figure out what flavor and version of cloud is going to work best for you at the best cost over time. You don't want to move and then a year later find out that your data costs and structure aren't matching your growth needs.
Yeah, it sounds like, I think a lot of firms historically have kept data forever. And they don't really have a sort of a purge policy. As you start bringing firms in, you get them thinking about how much data they should be keeping and what their growth plan is for that data. Is that how you think about it?
It absolutely is. It's finding that right-sized, fully managed cloud for them. And Darren, I think it's also when you move to the cloud, maybe this is the third component. What are these first 3 steps in moving to the cloud? It's also assessing your current workflow and making sure that what you're actually doing today makes sense for your firm. Maybe there's applications that just aren't working for where you're at as a firm right now. And what I see a lot of times from a security side of the house is when you get individuals involved in onboarding. You find out as a firm leader or an IT director at a firm that individuals are using applications you were not even aware of. And that's problematic on a security and workflow side. So this is a good
that kind
time
of
to
goes
raise
back
that
to one
up.
of our 3 reasons to move to the cloud, which is curating your tech stack, right?
And security. So it all comes together. But you're so right, Darren. It all starts with that assessment, and you shouldn't be doing it yourself. You and your partner have to have a real agreement, and you're going to need to provide the right data the same way that your partner is going to need to say, hey, here's how we've seen firms like you do this successfully.
Makes sense to me, Molly.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for figuring out your first initial steps in moving to the cloud. And if there's any way we can help you to figure out your own steps to moving to the cloud, don't hesitate to reach out.